which is the neutral density filter, and that's to leave the color alone, but to reduce the amount of light coming in. And the DJI drones have great cameras with auto. They actually do really well, but there's a couple of reasons you want to put a filter on perhaps, and that would be to protect the camera. And if we're doing real estate filming, I just noticed that I've got a piece of cling stuck on there. No wonder it's acting funny. If I can get that cling to come off, what's going on? So having an extra piece of filter on the front is always a good idea, especially if you're going around indoors, right? And then having the ability to kind of put like sunglasses on the drone is always good for the filming. So the Avata is neat because it drives in FPV, it's called. So you get these goggles, and they get turned on with a little button on the side here. Everything DJI, you tap it once and it gives you the battery status. So you tap and hold. So tap and then tap again and hold, I should say. So it's like 2 clicks, but 1 tap and 1 hold. And what'll happen is these goggles will come to life. And we'll see if we can see in there or not. But you get this nice kind of comfortable thing to put your eyes into. You have these things where you can set up. I think maybe you can see the screen in there now, maybe. Anyway, you're not going to be able to see it real good. But you can adjust these if you have corrective lenses, or check one to the other with these little eye holes here. And then up top, you have a button and you have a little joystick. And that joystick you can touch and wiggle. And if we could see into the screen there, it's actually not on, it's just beeping. So I have to probably touch one of these other buttons to get the screen to come on. But you have this little joystick and this button, and then a little button underneath. So this joystick, that button, little button underneath. And as you're wearing these, then it's kind of neat. You've got the battery pack on the back, so it counterbalances the weight of the goggles in front. They don't really weigh that much though, so this whole thing doesn't weigh that much. But the strap is sort of above everything. Then these goggles are hanging in front. Of course, you got antennas to talk to the drones. These are cameras, so you can just tap the side of these, and what'll happen is the front cameras activate, and now you're just seeing through cameras, but you're seeing straight ahead. And that's really neat about these goggles. I'll turn them off because there's no need to waste the batteries. So what would happen is you'd turn these on. This is the remote control for the Avata 2. So you would turn this on, and then you would turn on your drone. And then these 3 things are going to sync or pair up to each other. And that's when the goggles come to life. What you end up with is an augmented reality. You're seeing through the eyes of the drone with a heads-up display of all the control panels and stuff. This acts as like a laser pointer in space, and then your controls all your throttle and everything. It is the most detailed or technical to fly, and the one I have flown the least, so I know the least about it. But this is going to allow me to fly through the big rooms, up around swimming pools, that kind of thing, when you're doing real estate videos. So those are really effective, really good cameras for that. This set came, I should probably click on it here on Amazon, huh? This set comes all together with the drone, the goggles, the controller, and 3 batteries. So that's called a Fly More combo, and you get 3 batteries right away so you can keep flying. It also comes with that nice bag that it's sitting on, and I really like the bags. I know people have different opinions of them, but they're well made. They're literally well thought out for the drones themselves. And yes, you end up with a bag for each drone. What I do is I put each of those big bags, or each of those bags, into this bigger bag, which I probably should have put on the list here. But it's a giant lunchbox, essentially. So it's a padded bag, and each of these bags fit in there real easy, just like Legos or Tetris or something. So then I can keep my drones in their bags, and then pull out the bags that I need, or pull out the drones that I need. All right, so that was the Avata 2, and I think that's the powerhouse. That's the big one for my inventory here as far as being able to do real estate drone videos. So then let's go to the other end of the scale, and that'll be the Neo, one of my favorite drones of all time, the DJI Neo. And somewhere in here I should have it. And again, this one is a Fly More combo. So it comes with a set of 3 batteries. The Fly More combos come with the batteries in a charger. So these are all inside of a charger that comes from DJI. When you tap on that button once, you're going to get a status of each of the batteries, so you know the status of each of them. And right now, I've got this other one plugged in. It's now charged because all of those lights are solid. If I unplug it and I want to tap and get the status of these batteries, like if I didn't know that they just got done being charged, I could tap that button and there they come to life, let me know where their status is. Now that that one's charged, I can take that USB cable and plug it into here, and now it's going to see that all of them need a little charge. It's going to charge this one first and then one of the others. You'll notice I mark my batteries so that I can keep track of which ones I'm using so that I'm rotating through all the time. And I just did that with a Sharpie marker. So looking at the Neo, this one came as a 3 battery combo with no remote control, because this guy can use these little controls on the back here and just with, I guess, AI or something, look at your hand signals and look at what you're doing, to get its controls from the button here on the back, and then go launch from your hand, do what it's going to do, and come back and land in your hand. And it really does. It's really fun. It's got a great camera, but just like all the DJIs, it could use some sunglasses. So that's one of the things that I did buy for it, is a set of filters. I actually bought more than one set of filters for this little guy because I fly it in different conditions. I bought a set that they call a bright day set, and you can see I've lost a couple of these. These are similar to the Avata. You'll hold the filter by the little wings and then just kind of snap it into place on the drone. And with this one, it sort of pops into place like that. Oops. It's kind of hard to hold on to it and do this all up in front of my face like this, but are these the right ones? No, these are for the flip. No wonder it was being weird. So let's grab the ones for these, which are a little bit different. They have a piece of metal in front that clips up top and then clips into place underneath. So now we have a glass filter in front of the camera on this drone, and it's not going to affect its gimbal as it's flying. But, you know, if it hit a twig or if it hit something in the house as we're doing real estate stuff, that's going to protect that camera really well. Now in this case, what do I have on there? I have the PL, so just a polarizing filter. So if I was going to look down at a pool or at a lake or something, or a river, I would see through the water with this polarizing filter. Now if I want to pull that filter off, I just hold on to the gimbal and I flick at the bottom of the filter, and it comes off from the lens, and I'll put that back in its little case. And in this case, I did buy 2 sets of filters for this one. The polarizing filter, because I knew I was going to be going over water with this one quite a bit, and then, even though we're here in Arizona, and then a set of bright day filters, and each of these will be labeled so you can tell which ones are which. But particularly, it's like having 6 different darknesses of sunglasses. So some you're going to use on a sunny day and others you'll use on a darker day. But this little guy is fun to use. I'll just turn them on real quick here. I'll pull one of the batteries out from the charger here, and it'll just snap into the bottom. Now being snapped in Doesn't do nothing. Now you got to turn it on. So tap, hold. And there it is. It's come to life. It's ready to go. Now I can run it.
Droney. Circle. Rocket. Spotlight. Direction track. Follow.
So if I told it to do this and let it go, it would follow me.
Droney.
Droney is a selfie, but from a drone. So it's going to go up and come back. So basically a selfie that it has some movement.
Circle.
Circle, as you can imagine, goes up, takes the circle around. Now in the software, when you use the app, or if you have one of the remote controls, you can go in and adjust the size of that circle, the diameter of that circle, that kind of thing.
Rocket.
Rocket is kind of cool. It just goes straight up and then looks down as it's going straight up. So kind of a selfie again, but in motion.
Spotlight.
I forget what spotlight is. I think it just goes up in front of you and hangs out there and lets you do a speech or something.
Direction track.
And I forget what that one is, but I think that might be where you go in and tell it what to do. That being said, I'm going to turn it off. Tap and hold. It'll do its little light dance and then shut down. That's when I usually like to put the gimbal covers back on or the camera covers back on. While they're awake or while they're on, I don't like to have the covers on because they like to wiggle their gimbals and I don't want to have anything obstructing it. Once the cameras are off or the drones are off, I put the gimbal covers on because I don't want anything externally to tap that gimbal. And these do a really good job of protecting that. So I just tapped the button, but because I didn't double tap, it just gave me a status of the batteries. So now I'm going to pull the battery out. And we'll talk about the medium two, the other two drones on the table. But I will stick this back in and we'll see what it says. Right now it sees that that one has 3 charges, but this one I guess must need more charge. All right, so we're taking a look now at the Mini 3. And I bought this one as well in a Fly More combo. That was the first ones we were looking at, the batteries from this one. Another neat thing about any of the Fly More combos is they have place for USB. So this is 3 decent batteries for drones, right? And they're fully charged right now. If I needed to charge a phone or charge one of my other type of drone batteries, this can be a battery bank. Of course, it's going to drain them, but you can. That's a handy kind of extra use of the battery packs. All right, getting back to this guy. This guy's a little different than the others because the wings or the arms, I guess, fold, which I consider that kind of more the standard, traditional type of drone that we're probably more used to seeing. And these can get a little smaller for sure, right? Because the little it gets, but it takes some time to get it into play. At first I thought these would be fragile, and I guess some of my toys are fragile that open up like this, but this guy is pretty decent. You know, he's not, I mean, he's pretty rugged for a little opening up type of drone. Anyhow, this guy was the first one I bought. He's super powerful. He has a pretty decent camera up front. Take his cover off. And his camera is a little cooler because when we go to put on his covers, they twist off the front. So I'm going to grab his head if I can here and give that little front of his camera a twist. And that just came right off the front here. Pretty neat. And then I can take one of these. Again, these are in a magnetic case. A whole bunch of different ones. But I can take one of these and set it in front here and snap it into place. And now it takes the place of that front lens and gives me a different type of filter, another polarizing filter. So I really like the way that these minis have incorporated the filter interface, I guess. So we'll put this guy back on though, the one that comes with it. And it has a little gimbal, it has the camera, of course it has the propellers, and then the batteries. This one came with the RC controller. And this is a controller with a screen built in. I'll turn it on here. It'll turn on and it will just sit here because none of these other drones are on. But this one would hook up to a number of the drones on the table. The way it works is I think this was the first one made, and then maybe that one, and then that one, and then that one. And somewhere along the line, the controllers work one way, but they they don't all work necessarily backwards. So some of my newer products don't work with the older drones, but some of the older controllers can't work with some of the newer ones, but a lot of these match up. All right, so we get our controller working, and of course we can see what the camera sees. We have maps. We can update the software and firmware and that kind of thing. That's why I got the kind with the screen on it. Because they have screens, I went ahead and got the screen covers. So this one has a matte cover. I wasn't sure if I was going to like the matte or leave it shiny. So this is the matte cover here that we're looking at. And I think it is pretty nice being matte. It's kind of a dull color. Now this is scratch proof. If something hits it or dinks it, this is going to take the abuse. And there's a couple of covers in here, so I can replace this if necessary. That was the first one I bought, and that came with the Mini 3. That was a combo. This cover, or this controller, came with the flip, and this one's called the 2. So the RC2. The RC and the RC2. The big difference, the easy way to tell the difference, is these little antennas that come up the top. There's a couple of other minor differences, but that's the easiest way. They're a different color, too, if you can kind of tell. This guy's a little bluer, and this guy's a little lighter. So this one has a screen protector on that's a little different, because this screen protector came with a fixture to help keep it in there, keep it on there. And, I'm not sure if I love that or not. It is a little easier to deal with because this fixture goes onto the front and then allows you to put it on. But it's a lot of extra material, right, for just to put on the screen. So it kind of depends on your preference, I guess. You can probably get both of these matte or shiny, so depending on your preference there. I think I do prefer the matte. Just doesn't reflect as much. You can see right through them just fine. But on this one, a little bit shinier, right? A little bit more reflection. Not that big a deal, because that's how they are normally, so it's not like it does anything to it. All right, so then this one came as a combo, though, with the 3 batteries, and I cannot say that this one's very capable. I think you could say that you could do most everything with this setup. The thing is, it has the props that are out, and if you're going to be inside of a home, that's the issue. While it's possible and it's doable if you're really good at flying, it's just unnecessarily risky, let's say, for the property in the house or the drone itself. Now you probably have insurance, but you don't want to have to use it, right? So that's why I ended up with, for me, I went with this one to the Neo. And with the enclosed props and the smallness of it, I guess, or this, the small scale of it, this one is actually really easy to fly indoors. It needs to be well lit, for sure. It doesn't use GPS inside, so it has to rely on its ability to see carpet and stuff like that. It's on a shiny floor, it would have some problems. The problem with this one is really, for real estate stuff, is the camera is not that best. It's good, it's very good, but it's not the best, and it's slow, so it would take some time. Now going outside with this one, it's just little propeller, big wind, so a lot of air out there, a lot of wind, a lot to fight with. Even though this isn't heavy, it has to fight with a lot of wind, so it's just slow. So it's capable, but it's not the ideal. So that's when I bought the Avata, which is, I'm not going to say overkill. It's definitely the way to go, but it's more than I can handle right now. So I ended up getting the Flip, which is a good medium, I think. Enclosed props, closer to the size of that one, so it can handle, it's a lot faster than the little Neo. It folds up, though, which is super fun. That's why they call it the Flip, I guess, where the Avata is kind of rigid, which isn't a big deal, but this does make it more prone to be used more often. This one is half the price of the Avata, so a little easier on the pocketbook to carry this one around more often. Capable camera on this one. This one also has this features of this guy. So if I turn, Should have mentioned when you open this, it turns on. I just instinctively turned it off. I just don't like to waste batteries. Plus they'll start making noises and stuff. But you can go through, and there's an indicator on the top here. You can go through and do all the same kind of hand waving controls with the flip that you can with the Neo. So it's a lot like the Neo, just a lot bigger. A little bit different form factor because it folds up. So I really like this one. Only disadvantages with this one is it's noisy. It is the loudest of all of these, and it's probably something to do with the wind going through all that fan protection and stuff. So that guy, I guess I didn't mention because I was talking about other stuff, but this guy also has filters. Each of these has ND filters, so essentially sunglasses to keep the extra UV light out of there. Kind of clicking through all of them here. And because each of the lenses is different, the filters are the same, I think, but because each of the lenses is different, they each have to have their own. But as you can see, no matter which brand you go with, they all come with some sort of a case that can fit into the bags that you carry these things with. All right, so we're not getting too many comments, I don't think. But like I say, I'm not seeing them over on the Amazon chat over here, so I apologize for that. So we're talking about using these as real estate, for real estate videos. And one of the things you're going to want to do is come outside. That's why I have some of the bigger drones. That's why this guy is on the table, even though you probably wouldn't want to use him inside unless it was a big building. This is definitely one appropriate for using outside. This guy, while he's great for using inside, he's just not big enough to fight the wind outside and be quick about it. And then these bigger ones definitely have some more tools to use outside, some things that they can do outside, waypoints and stuff that really make them useful. All right, so you're going to have all these different ones, and if you're going to be outside, you're going to want to know the wind temperature. And I've been carrying a Kestrel for all kinds of reasons for many years, so I really like this. I'm just going to go ahead and click any of the buttons, and that'll turn it on. There we go. That'll turn it on, and then it's already windy out here, I guess. But if I blow into it, I just blew, what, about 8 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour. But you just hold this up to the wind, and you kind of just do like this, and you'll figure out where the wind is, and it'll tell you what the wind speed is. So this is really nice, especially with the little guys. But even with the big ones, you know, you want to go around. I usually go at less than 16 miles an hour to fly this guy. I haven't figured out what these guys' top speeds, wind speeds are, but that's how I would find out. So I do keep a Kestrel in with this guy all the time. I'm thinking about getting some more wind meters so that I can have another one in case the drones get split up. But right now it's just me, so I just have the one. But anyway, I think that's a handy tool to have. Another tool that's often overlooked is the landing pad back there. That H is, that's for helicopter probably. But it's reversible. It's orange on one side, blue on the other. You can get them 1 or 2 packs at a time. They're like those things you put in the window of a car. They fold on themselves and kind of loop in on themselves. So they fit in these bags, which is kind of handy when they're all folded up. But they open up. They've got that rigid metal around the edge, which helps hold them down if it's a little bit windy. You can put a rock or stakes on them. There's little things on the corners here. You can put stakes on them if you need to. And then, so it'll stay put if it is windy. But what happens is all of these drones have these eyeballs underneath. And those underneath eyeballs are looking at where they take off so that they know where to come back. And that gives them a big orange thing, you know, a big orange circle on the ground to find so that they can see that orange. So those are super handy to have. The next thing on the table that is super useful to have with you are these ham radios. This is a very inexpensive set of radios. The 2 of them together, you'll be surprised how much this set of 2 of them cost. So now you have one that you keep with your drones, one that you keep in the vehicle, maybe one that you keep in the RV or the bug out bag or something like that. But you can use an app. You can use somebody else's radio. You can go online and program these. There's lots of different ways to program them these days. They've got these holes in the side for the microphone and speaker, or the earphone and mic, but that can also be used for programming. And you might notice how little these are. These drastically reduced in size lately over the last years or so. So this new model, I just got these a week or two ago because they're essentially my old model, which were this big. They've shrunk them down to little. So now I keep this orange one, or yellow, I guess, with my drones. I just have it with all the general aviation channels as well as FAA, and that way I can just monitor when I'm flying. Handy to have, very inexpensive. And you don't need a ham license to listen. So if you're going to talk on them, you'd want to get yourself a ham radio license. But if you're not going to listen, or if you're not going to talk, you're just going to listen, it's just like buying a scanner. You can buy that all you want. We've talked about the filters. There's lots of different filters out here from different companies. And I did try some different ones from different companies. I'm kind of glad I did because, as you notice with the flip there, as I was out testing them, I realized that I don't always put them on correctly and they fall off. So I lost a few. The flip. The others aren't going to get lost. These snap on, these clip on with the piece of metal. These aren't going to come off. Those I'm not sure. I haven't flown with those, so we'll see. But they're not that expensive, so it is worth having some extras probably. All right, so I think the next thing we'll take a look at are probably props, because there's a couple of things we'll be taking a look at. You know what I'll take a look at real quick here though, is this bag. So I mentioned that the Fly More Combo Avita comes with the bag, and we'll click on that since we haven't clicked on the drones for a bit. So the Avita comes with a bag. The Fly More Combo with the flip comes with that nice bag. The bags are not identical because they're the right size for the packages, but they're the same design. So they just scale the design up or down or whatever. And then the 3 here came with the bag also. And those bags are really nice. Like I say, I really like them. But the Neo is a little bit cheaper. It doesn't come with a bag. So I ended up buying a bag, and that's what this is. So it's kind of, I don't know what to call that. It's not really ripstop, but it's almost like a tactical ripstop material. It has a flap here to kind of hold everything down and not go into the drone. But if you are going to the drone, you can put one of the controllers in here. You can put the drone in here. You can put the Fly More Combo in there. And it's all in this like backpack form factor. It's semi-rigid and not that big. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it is perfectly fit for the Neo, or if you're going to be getting one, the Neo 2. Because a lot of the Neo 2s are being sold with the controllers right away. That would be a good bag for all that. So that was the controller, or the bag there that we took a look at. Oh, it's getting windy. I guess I could pull out the Kestrel and find out how windy it's getting, huh? So I think what the next thing we'll look at is the propellers. So each of these, obviously these have exposed propellers, and if we take a look, they're getting a little rusty at the end here. They get a little frayed. They're made out of some kind of a polymer, and so all they have to do is hit something. All they have to do is vibrate enough, and the polymer can start to come apart. So get more, and it's totally worth it. This is the I think I bought 38 or 48 props for this guy because I hit these the most, and there's just bags and bags of sets of props. So very small, in other words. They come with the tools, they come with the hardware. They're individually wrapped, I guess is the way to say it, individually packaged, so that this I bought, I think 4 sets, or 4 replacement sets. I can put 2 in there, keep 2 extra. With these for the flip, they came in little boxes. So this is a complete replacement set, like of all whatever it is, 16 or 8 or something, or that many props. And then there's this many versions of it. So you want to have the ones that came with it. You want to have another set, and then maybe a third set. Because like they say, you're out there, you spend all the time and effort to get out to fly, and then one prop breaks and now you can't fly at all. not worth it. Definitely worth getting yourself some extra props right away. Again, I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk about prices, but they're ridiculously inexpensive kind of insurance to have when you're out there. So we've talked about getting the drones and the packages. Push that back. We've talked about the what comes with the packages, the combos. Then we talked about protecting their lenses and also giving them sunglasses with the NP filters. Then we talked about putting new props on them. We talked about covering the glass on the screens. Did we talk about the phone? So I think we may have, but I'm going to go back. Looks like people are clicking on stuff. Thanks for that. I do apologize that the comments aren't showing up. It looks like there's a lot of people out there. Looks like people are buying stuff too, so that's kind of cool. But I do apologize that there's no comments. I'm scared to refresh because I just haven't done that before while I'm live. And I'm so deep into this one, I just don't want to risk messing it up. But the Flip and the Neo can both fly with a phone. Actually, some of these others probably can too. I just never bothered. But you just go to the phone and you turn on the DJI flying app. It's great for updating the software on these. It's also, you basically just fly it. So I went with the S24 because it's a few years old. It's a few models old, I guess. But it's got like a 7-year update package. I think at this point, let's say 6-year update package. So even though I bought a couple of them now that are older, I'm still going to be able to use them at least 6 years still into the future. And that's why, for me, the price, future proofing or future use was a good balance for the S24. All right, so then I probably should have put the goggles in here separate, but I don't know if you can buy them separate. If anybody has any questions about those specifically, let me know, because they are pretty neat. It is a different way of flying because you put the goggles on and you're seeing kind of through the cockpit. You're seeing through the camera. So it's as though you're tiny, sitting in here as its own little plane. It's a little different, and you definitely don't see anything else going around you. So you might want to have somebody else around, there to kind of watch the drone. Well, we're talking mostly specifically for real estate stuff. And in that case, you're going to need your 107 pilot's license. Once you get a 107 pilot's license, there's certain requirements or criteria, and one of those is that the drones need to be registered. So if you look at these, each of these is registered with the FAA because I'm a 107 pilot. In order to fly commercially with one of my little drones that don't have a remote ID, which is essentially a beacon that sends out the data about the drone, where it came from, where it's going, and what direction and how fast, the stuff that another airplane would need to know, so that if you wanted to get out of the way of this little guy, you knew where it was. And that's sent out through what's called a remote ID. The larger ones have it built in because they're being built for somebody who might use them professionally. But one of these that are made for recreational use often don't have the remote ID built in. And then in that case, you buy a module. So this is a little piece of plastic that gets associated and physically attached to the robot. And then this little guy, it's little because it doesn't want to take up a lot of weight, and it doesn't need to be very big. So this little guy is going to act as your digital license plate, so to speak. And that gets attached to the drone, and then that'll fly around with that little beacon doing its job. So that's something that you'll only need if you're a licensed 107 pilot and you want to fly one of these smaller drones for your business. So again, if you want to fly this guy inside the house to do real estate, you'd want to get the remote ID on there. Same thing with the Flip. I personally went with the Holystone remote ID with the Flip, and the Ruco with the Neo. Why? Because the Ruco is a lot lighter weight, and the Holystone has a beacon light on it. And I figure I'll probably be flying that guy at night more than I'm flying the Neo. All right, now I think I might have actually got through everything. Oh, maybe not. Sorry, I'm coughing. I need to drink something. Pardon me, I'm going to drink something. I think we're about 30 minutes in or something. Thanks to the people that are clicking on stuff there. So, last thing I think that we haven't looked at yet are these little bumpers. And these are just kind of neat. So, the drones are kind of this gray color. And if you want to mess with them a little bit, you can get these colored items. And let's see, am I putting it on right? Yeah. They have a way to go on. There's a left and a right. But once you snap them into place, they essentially give you little Nerf bumpers, little silicone rubber bumpers that give it a little color, give it a little flair. But also, if you do drop it inside, they give you that Nerf. Those are kind of handy to have. And again, all this stuff's ridiculously inexpensive little add-ons. I also have in here some of the orange propellers. Again, not really a big deal because it's just changing the color, but at the same time, if you got to change your props out anyway, preventive maintenance or for upgrades or for damage or something, then why not add a little flair, add a little color? You'll know which one's yours for sure. So let's see, we had the I've only bought colored props for my little guy. I've thought about buying them for the others. I just went ahead and bought, I think these might be blue actually, but I ended up just buying the standard colors for the main drone there. All right, so taking another look at everybody, we had the DJI 3, Mini 3. I would say this is about the smallest, or the lowest end on the professional side. They do make the Mini 3 Pro, which has a little bit better camera, but I wasn't sure if I was going to get into drones when I bought this. So this was I want to buy one that's not a toy, and I want to buy one that's not going to break the bank. So that's why I went with this guy. And I also wanted that Fly More combo. So if I would have gone any higher drone, by the time I did Fly More combo, I would have been way out of budget. So this was essentially my maximum budget at the time. Fell in love with it, really enjoyed flying it. Like I said, decided I'm going to try doing real estate stuff, so headed into this guy. Again, can't tell you how much I like the Neo. It is definitely the funnest drone I've ever flown. Just because it's so versatile, it's so effective. It's such a good quality drone. But it is little, and it just can't do stuff outside. I've actually flown quite a bit at 10,000 feet and above because I'm in the West, and we go up on top of mountains all the time. Hey, G23, welcome. So this guy actually has some trouble at that altitude. So that's what led me to the Avata. And like I say, because it was just such a drastic change with the headset and the flying with this kind of remote control, it's a learning curve, and I'm not able to fly it enough to get that learning curve. So I went with the Flip, which was sort of a big brother to the Neo, like I said. And I'd say if I had to only buy one, I'd probably get the Flip. If I had to start all over, I'd probably start with the Flip first, maybe the Neo, or maybe both at the same time. Because, I don't know, if you have somebody else who'd be willing to fly with you or is interested in flying, there's absolutely no reason not to get both of these two right away, or two of these or something. But having more than one is fun because you can have more than one up in the air if you have more than one person flying. Let's see, so we're going to keep going through the list here. So that was the Mini 3. Then we talked about the Avata. There we go. And then we talked about the Fly More, or the Flip. That's that guy. Then the Neo. Definitely one of the funnest ones ever. Talked a little bit about the Samsungs, which I use as controllers sometimes, and to update firmware and things like that. Then we talked about the little controller. You can get this controller, and you can fly the Flip with the controller, or the Neo with the controller. I'm assuming I can fly the Flip, I just haven't tried it yet. But this, with the goggles, I don't know how to explain it. This is, it's got to be what it's going to be like when I fly that guy. I've flown this guy only on beginner mode, but this guy on fast mode is a little bit scarier than that one, but it's, you know, $200, so it's not as much risk, I guess. So anyway, this controller is to fly this guy and then that guy and maybe the flip. It won't work with this though, because this is not a first person drone. It can only fly with the standard, the phone, or the remote controllers with joysticks. Now you might notice that my joysticks or my controllers don't have joysticks. They're in here somewhere, like they live on the bottom, I guess. There's a place here where you can put them on and screw them on. But for me, I don't like them. This is too much movement, because I can leave them off, leave them underneath here, and I just move the little nubs, and I have much more control, and I can use the, whatever this is called, of your fingers. And this way I'm holding it with my fingers here. I've got these, what is this, your ring finger, for these buttons. I've got these for these two buttons. And then I've got these up here for all this. And I never have to let go of the controller. So this works for me. I don't know if that's legit or what, but that's how I do it. But that's why I don't have my joysticks on. I don't use the joysticks. This one's the same way. The joysticks just live underneath here, and I just don't use them. Now, if you have an old controller or the controller without the screen and you want to upgrade, you definitely can upgrade, and it's worth it. I would upgrade to the 2 right away. I'm going to show you something I discovered today. So for the first time today, I've owned this for I don't know how long, month or so, and I just figured this out when I was doing some updates today. So I'm turning it on, and since none of the drones are on, it's just going to exist. It's just going to be on. I don't need the antennas up since there's no drones on. So this is telling me that it's got 3 batteries instead of 4. So I'm going to go up here to DJI Simulator. How cool is that? And I can go to flight. There's a like a game you have to do to learn first, and then you can go fly. So this is going to let me fly the drone of my choice. So I can choose the drone over here. I'll choose a Mavic, which is a super expensive one. And then we'll have the little robot place it. And there we go. So now we're flying. Now we're going forward. And I can now, I'm going to flip it to sport mode. And look, I can fly faster. There's other things in the environment. There's people out there. There's boats. So I can look up. I can look down. I can look straight down as I'm flying over stuff. Like, how cool is this? This is the neatest thing ever. So this is part of the controller, I guess, because I don't know, I just found it today. But it's called like a flight simulator. How cool is that? So I'm gonna try to turn the thing off. Hopefully it doesn't get mad at me. I haven't ever turned anything off in the middle like that. But anyway, there's a flight simulator on here, so I definitely get the 2. The 2 will let you fly with the Neo and the Neo 2 and the Flip. So I didn't know that. I didn't know about these 2 drones when I bought this, so that's why I bought this one. I'm not complaining. This is a good one. But yeah, if I was going to recommend it, I'd recommend the 2. Then we have the 2 remote ID modules, which you only need if you're a 107. Now, if you're buying gifts for someone, you can definitely buy them any of these gifts. And even if they don't need it, they can probably appreciate it because we're nerds and we like to have stuff for our toys, right? So any of these things I think are good ideas for gifts, even if they're not doing real estate videos yet. Okay, so then there's the filters. And like I say, I've got filters on the table from different companies and for all these different drones. They're all the same filters though, basically. They're all ND filters or neutral density filters, meaning they leave the color alone. They just remove the amount of light getting through to the sensors. So the more expensive cameras have better sensors, and they do have good auto adjustments, but by setting them to manual, putting on filters, you can kind of knock in exactly what you want. And that's what most people ask for, or most people try to do. Let's see. Then we have some more filters, for more filters, going through the different things over on the Amazon here. We have those little Nerf bumpers that are good for the Neo if you're going to be going inside. We have the different propellers to replace or modify. And then the screen protectors for depending on which controller you end up with. Having a screen protector is a good idea. Honestly, for your phone, if you don't have one, it's probably a good idea to get a screen protector for your phone as well. And then more filters. I have a lot of filters on the table. We have a couple of the aftermarket cases, like this guy for the Neo, and then that big yellow one, that big, it's a lunchbox thing, a big cooler basically, that we use for the for carrying all the drones. Now these are the strobes, and where are the strobes? The strobes are little modules that will enhance the drones when you're using them at night. You need to be able to be visible to other aircraft, and you want to be able to see where your drone is up in the air. So there's lights on them. There's red and green lights that tell us which direction the drone is on. So if you see the red lights and the green lights, you know if it's looking towards you or away from you. But the idea is at night you want to have a white light, a white strobe on it. And they're just little modules that will either go on with Velcro or something like that. So then we've got more filters over there, a lot of filters. I basically bought 2 sets of filters for each of the drones. One, because I wanted to test them, but 2, I knew that they might break or get damaged, and I wanted to have more right away without having to wait for shipping. We talked about the little ham, so if you can listen to airports, you can listen to radio, airplanes, other people that might just be out. These hams are getting so small. This is the Baofeng, the new ones that just came out recently. It's everybody's hotness right now, and I really like them. Like I say, incredibly low price on those. The landing pad in the back there, none. If you're looking for a gift for somebody, one of those landing pads, no one's going to complain. You can't have enough of them, and I really like the ones with that metal ring that kind of folds in for good compact, but then when it opens, it's got that metal ring, so it's nice and weighted right away. And then the Kestrel, excuse me, the weather station, a little handheld weather station, so you know what your weather is and you're not just guessing. All right, again, sorry I couldn't do comments over here, but again, thanks everybody over on the Amazon for joining us. If you want to check any of these out, please follow the links. We've got a bunch of them down there. All right, now I'm back on YouTube only. There looked like there was a bunch of comments that I wasn't seeing. I have to pay attention to the Amazon when it's live. Let's see. Do most of them share the same battery? No, none of them share the same battery. That's why I have to buy the 3 battery packs all the time. They're just totally different. These are little, right? Because they're the littlest, but I mean, they're just completely different. This is like a big square candy bar looking thing, and this is like a little squatty Reese's peanut butter cup type of thing. Because the drones are different. This one probably weighs twice as much as this little one too. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I imagine it would be cool if they all used the same battery, but, you know, that might be too much to ask. Let's see. Been thinking about getting a drone, still haven't pulled the trigger. I mean, unless it's something, I mean, it's fun to fly, for sure. Get a Neo, for sure, just to fly it and see if you're going to like it or not. But, I think for making videos, for where you're at, man, I would definitely consider something like this. because I'd want to be taking that thing. I don't think you're allowed to fly them by the ocean though, but it's messed up. I would definitely want to be flying that thing by some of the places where you live though. But with all your weather, I just think you'd probably want, you know, something this size, because this is actually a strong one. This is probably my strongest of all the ones, like as far as flying. And I think it has something to do with the propellers just being out in the air. All right, well, I got a bunch of stuff to put away. I guess I could just stay live while I put everything away. If anybody's got any questions besides asking for free shit, why don't you go get a job and buy all these yourself? It's actually super fun to buy a bunch of shit once you have a bunch of money. But I don't think you're going to get DJIs from anybody since they're not coming into the country anymore. They're getting sparse, and you can't replace them is the main thing. So you might get other kind of drones from people if you go around begging off of people. But again, you're not going to find too many people that are going to give away something that's not necessarily replaceable. So I wonder if I should put these things back in these boxes. I don't think I'm gonna. Got this little baggy thing, pouch purse thing for my phone. I like. Keep the phone in this side. Keep all the bunch of accessories and whatnots in this side. It's not that cold, puppy. Sit by Mello. Sit by Mello. He's being a jerk and he won't sit by his girl. This thing I gotta figure out and do already, but I need to stick this on there. I just haven't did it yet. Okay, thank you for information. Peace. So do you think that's someone who doesn't speak English or just can't write well? You never can tell with comments. Sometimes people are just lazy and don't use the whole sentence, and other times people don't know how to use a whole sentence because this isn't their language. Let's see. So I don't keep the drones, the little guy, in that thing because I don't like this thing at all. I bought it, but I don't like it. I'm keeping it around for the Neo 2 case, but I don't think I'm going to like it for everything. Here, you can look at this. Puppy's over here acting like he's cold. It's not that cold. So the Neo goes in here. How are these batteries doing? Well, I've got 2 full now in the time we've been farting around, but that guy needs quite a bit of charging. So I'm not gonna let that keep going, I guess. But I can keep this and the batteries in this pocket. And then it's about that thick. And I carry that around all the time. And that way I always have a drone with me. The problem is all of this is also for the Neo, and there's no way I'm keeping that with me all the time. So I need to come up with a new other bag that keeps all my extras in, since I bought all these damn extras. I just bought all these filters and props. And this is one of the things I need to do, is sort everything out, charge everything. I'm gonna go try to get some sunrises tomorrow, I think. This is how the flip charges. It's pretty cool. So this battery comes out like that. Kind of clips in like this. And then somewhere that one's full. These are not full. So look how empty that guy is. See, this guy is full completely. This guy's almost full, and this guy ain't even full. That's why I need to mark these so that I'm not, using one all the time instead of the other or something. Do I have another cable? I do. Let me get this off of here. And I'll start charging this also. And then it's neat because it'll leave this guy alone. It knows it's charged. And it's going to charge this one first because it's next. And then it'll charge the little guy, or the one that's the lowest. So it's like they're smart chargers. That's kind of cool. 120 views over on Amazon. It's pretty neat. Alright, so next, what is next? That's all the Neo stuff. Next will be the Flip, I guess. So I've got Flip batteries charging. The Flip fits in here. The charger fits in here. Batteries fit in the side. I need to put a thing of props in here. I'm going to put the remote ID in here, ideally. And then the filters need to go in here. Really liking that Flip. Really liking it. And then there's this guy, my oldest one. And that's ear filters. That's ear filter. These are ear filters, and I don't think you're gonna be able to hold them either. So those fit in there. Charge kind of fits in like that. What am I doing? This goes in there. These go there. There they go. Then the Kestrel goes down the side here. These fold and tuck and tuck. I still haven't decided if it's worth getting a rubber band. Some people buy like this rubber band thing to put around here so that when you shove it in here, you're good to go, but I've never done that, and I'm not sure if I want to. Seems like it'd be more work than it's needed. Anyway, so there's that guy's good to go, but his filters. And I probably should, see, I bought 2 sets of filters for this one. I probably should keep the filters with it though, because this, of all of them, this one has the best filter connection method or whatever that's called. Maybe they'll fit in here. There's just so much junk in this one already. It will fit in there, but I feel like I'm putting a lot of junk in that one. And then there was the Avata. And if I didn't have anything else to do, I would fly this more. But man, I wish I had more time to fly this one. I just don't. So you put your goggles in, you give them a little bit of a twist. That's how I do it at least. Put your antennas down, and then drop them in. Then the batteries, where'd they go? The batteries go in the back. Where they sit? Oh, it's the controller. And the controller goes in, and then the Avata goes in. And this one has plenty of room for the filters. Being the most expensive, I would have thought that one would have a better deal for filters, better like connection method like the Mini. And I do have 2 of these remote controllers, so I just put them both in there. And then we got this little Baofeng. Probably do a video program in these soon, because I just got like 5 new ones. I'm going to give them to people. Not that guy who was asking for free shit, but friends of mine in real life. And I'm just going to program them all the same, basically. But I need to do that. So there's those. And there's all the extras. And there's the little mini, and there's the things that I forgot to put away. Dang it. Now they're jammed inside. Alright, and that's how small they get, almost, because I did buy this to put my other goggles in. Put them in there, maybe. But now I can take this, put it like this, take this, and put it in like this. Take this. Oops. I should say put this one in like this. Take this and give it a little twisty thing, like that. And then this guy goes on top. This guy goes on the other side on the top. And there's all the drones in one bag, pretty much. Boom. Maverick 4 Pro is like $2,200. Dude, I would totally get that one if I had that kind of money. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting that one, man, that would be cool. I don't know nothing. I haven't researched them because I don't, I'm not that kind of money into them yet. But I mean, real cameras, real power, payloads. You could put stuff on them. I think they can handle like FLIR, enough like thermal and stuff. Like they can do cool shit, I think. So yeah, that would be neat. And they could handle all kinds of wind and stuff. I mean, those are the kind of things they make movies with, real movies. Anyway, so this was my pile of accessories that I just recently bought, and that's why I was doing the video, to do an Amazon Live with that kind of stuff. I'll put links to all this at some point somewhere, and then say thanks to everybody for joining us. Hope you're having a good weekend. Thanks G23 for jumping in, and sorry for whoever that other guy is, but yeah, like G23 said, how about you come in and don't immediately start asking for stuff, and maybe you'll have a more conversation than less of being run out of here. All right, see ya.